Good.
Now I just want to do one from the front. So I'll say 3, 2, 1 when you start leaning forward, and then on 1 we go.
Come on, Ned.
Back, Bucky! Oh, you're gonna be on today. Either that or a red. Yeah, Quinn, come on together, Quinn.
Let's go.
Yeah. I think I also agree, like, I should probably prioritize seeing the plays.
What are you doing? You gonna hang around for a bit or? Alright. Yeah.
Sunday, long weekend Croatian derby with points at a premium for both sides. There's a lot to like about the picture that awaits us here today at Churchill Reserve as round 17 NPL Victoria action sees St Albans Saints take on sister club Melbourne Knights in an all-Croatian clash where both sides will be fancying their chances of a much-vaunted return to the winners list as two of the NPL Victoria's newest head coaches go head-to-head. For one side, you can currently see him out on the pitch in the Melbourne Knights corner. Bit of a full-circle moment for Ivan Franjic today. He returns to the club where his senior career started all the way back in 2005. 19 years on, he is back, but as a head coach of Melbourne Knights for the first time. And first times are going to be the order of the day for both of the managers in respective dugouts today, because Cam Watson is still searching for the first win, first point of his tenure as Dynamo head coach. There's been plenty of promising signs, but you want to turn that into tangible results as quickly as possible, and to that end they are hoping to return to the winner's circle today. And it's not just a big game for their manager, a big game for the team more generally, looking to get 3 points for their coach, but to stop as well their worst losing run in NPL Victoria history. 9 straight defeats, hoping to avoid double digits today. Churchill Reserve has been a much happier hunting ground for them this season. 6 of their 7 points have come here at home and 75% of their goals, and when you throw the Croatian derby element in, the form book can start to do funny things. So it has the makings of what could be a very entertaining game here for your Sunday long weekend. Pleasure to have your company for it on NPL Victoria YouTube, wherever you may be tuning in from. Lockie Flanagan joined today by Mark Ivkovic. Hello, Mark.
Hello, Lockie. Yeah, big game this afternoon. Most definitely for St Albans. I know you mentioned sister clubs. I wouldn't want to be a sister of either of them because there's no love lost between these two clubs, I'll tell you that much. And I know for a fact that St Albans will always pencil in every season that these two games as must-wins, because the bragging rights are massive for them, and no better way for them to get off the bottom of the table than a win this afternoon. And
they will certainly be, as you said, Mark, fancying their chances today, as it is the home side in the blue who get us underway. Thumping ball forward from Max King. And Cam Watson has shown himself so far, only 4 games into his tenure as Dynamo head coach, not afraid to take a risk and throw caution into the wind, and there are a few eye-catching introductions to the starting 11 today. The likes of Nicholas Maury are into the starting 11. A real one to keep an eye out for as Melbourne Knights look to get things going early through Albano, and that cross just flashes past the face of the back post. An easy collection in the end. If you just look past the heart-in-mouth moment for a passing second for Marko Bulic. He's really made that starting goalkeeper spot here at St Albans his own over the course of the season. Jasko Karanovic's last start was actually in the reverse fixture against these two sides. Back in round 4, a 3-0 win for the Knights in Sunshine. Here's a promising drive forward, but a bit of a heavy touch that time around from Joseph Cholina, one of a handful of former Melbourne Knights juniors that you'll see for both sides today. And, as you probably have just picked up in your effects, Mike, one thing you'll hear a lot of today is the words of Cam Watson as Saki is going on a nice run there. A poor pass from Shongo, and luckily Michael Gergic, as he has been on innumerable occasions in his now 8-year stint at St Albans, in the right place at the right time.
For those watching at home, Lockie, if you've never been to Churchill Reserve, you can't underestimate the actual size of the pitch here. It's probably the smallest ground in the league, along with Manningham's ground. It makes a massive difference in the way that the game's played, the way you're able to press and congest the field. It's a big difference to, say, a Knights stadium, where obviously Knights play regularly. So it's interesting to see how they adapt their game this afternoon.
Certainly imagine it will, and does play a factor. It has allowed, certainly, St Albans over the years, albeit playing some very different brands of football along that journey, to have some close-run encounters with some of the best sides in NPL Victoria over the years. I mean, they were swatted aside in the end 4-1 by South Melbourne, but they led inside 10 seconds. Valiant 2-1 defeat back in round 2 against Avondale as well, where they gave a very good account of themselves, although, must be said, that does feel like a very long time ago now. Ryan McGuffey, the head coach then, long gone. He's a month complete in the books for Cam Watson. What have you made, Mark, of the changes that you've seen to this team? Because it is definitely clear, and it was really clear from the first game, that there was a change in MO, a more pass-oriented approach, but obviously yet to yield its first tangible returns in season 2024. Yeah,
look, it's been obvious that the change of playing style has implemented it very, very quickly. Whether he has the personality at his disposal to play the brand of football that he likes, that's another question. This isn't his squad, and he hasn't recruited these players, and the transfer window is only a couple of weeks away now, so interesting to see what type of personnel they do bring in to play this style of football. But we've said before the broadcast, Lockie, we've seen this story before with the Bentley Greens last year, with Rick Marchioli, trying to play that possession-based football, which is all well and good, but if you don't have the personnel to do it to get the results, that's all that matters at the end of the day is the 3 points. And so far, unfortunately, Cam Watson hasn't picked up any points.
What about now?
Certainly today will be penciled in as a big chance to do something. We know they raised their levels for this game against Melbourne Knights. Saul wondered in the air. Jerez tried to lay it into the path of an attacking teammate, but nothing doing just yet for Dynamo. That's a better pass, though, into space by Carter Ramsey. And at least on the left-hand side, Jacob Sovereign. Back to Joseph Cholina. And Summerskill tries his luck from a long way out. He's a good player at striking the ball. Certainly Brian Summerskill, but you have to do a little bit better than that to get the beating of Chris Oldfield, who, it must be said, Mark Ivkovic, we look back to the results that led into this game, and it was a 1-1 draw for Melbourne Knights, a last gasp effort once again to salvage a point, but they would definitely not have been in that position if it were not for Chris Oldfield.
Yeah, it was definitely the best on ground last week. That was vintage Chris Oldfield. And I think it's going to be key this afternoon as well on this tight pitch. St Albans going to throw everything at them, and Oldie's going to have to be on his toes. Summerskill's in a bit of trouble there, Lockie.
Chris Oldfield is on his toes, and Brian Summerskill is only just getting back up to them. We've seen him go down once already this game inside the opening couple of minutes. And he's not a player that St Albans would necessarily want to lose. Their leading goal scorer.
I think he's coming off. Walking very, very gingerly.
Yeah, he did throw up a thumbs up the first time he went down, but this second one has looked a lot more severe.
It's been the trouble with Brian Summerskill over the years is, he does have the talent to play, but just very susceptible to injuries.
So we'll keep an eye on the sideline as to who his potential replacement may be. If I have a look at the number on the shorts, I dare say that Scott Bakor is going to come onto this field a little bit earlier than perhaps he expected. It's a nice ball over the top for Saif Saki. The cutback is knocked away at the first time of asking by the experienced head of James Ricabene. We've got a problem, though. Scott Bakor wants to come onto the field, but he hasn't got his shirt. Chris Dibb has been gone to go and fetch it. It's a real welcome back to the squad for Chris Dibb, who's been out for a while. He's on kitman duty.
I'd be absolutely fuming if I was Cam Watson. It's a big no-no.
I've not seen that sort of thing in some years. Albano loses out. Time. And another ball over the top to find the run of Saki. He stands up at his marker. Can he fashion a cross into the middle? He can, and it's a decently shaped one. Sewell was there. And Shongo got there first. Bullich had to tip over the defensive header for a corner. And Scott Bacoa, well, not quite, he's not quite suited and booted necessarily, but he's definitely suited up for this game. He's got the shirt back. I think the last time I remember something like that happening was, I think the 2015 in the A-League. Ryan Grant had his training top ready to come on at half-time, only to realise that he still had his training top on as he stood on the touchline. Scott Pacor had far less on than that, I'll tell you. Corner here for Melbourne Knights. Dazelle with the in-swinger to the edge of the box where Jack Morton is waiting and redistributing to Anthony Dazelle. Quite to be. You could see the gesturing from the Knights midfielder. It wasn't necessarily where he wanted the ball.
Interested to see Giselle and Morton, the combination between them this afternoon. I think that's where the Knights have struggled this season. We saw last year under Ben Khan, Knights had a very set starting 11, and the midfield was probably the key to all that with Giselle, Steve White and Mitch Hall and Luka Kolic as well. You know, there was such a strong point for them. I feel as though this season they haven't found that right combination, chopping and changing, Giselle in and out, Mitch Hall in and out, and obviously Steve White's been out for a long time now. I think this is probably the best option for them, Giselle and Morton sitting together.
Big chance brewing here. Albano sliding into the path of Sucky. A good save at the first time of asking by Bullich. Flicked back into the middle, but it was out of play in the interim. Wow, that's a massive chance that Saif Saki has let slip to open the scoring here at Churchill Reserve. A good save by Marco Bullich, but you could make the case, Mark, that should probably be 1-0 Melbourne Knights.
100%, Lockie. Take nothing away from Bullich's save, but Saki's got to put that in the back of the net. You know, one-on-one with the keeper in that position. A player of his talent needs to hit the back of the net.
There's been a couple of challenges, as you mentioned, Mark, the midfield balance and also just midfield cavalry at points this year, but goals have been definitely, where the stats are concerned, the area where Knights have been hardest hit. Only 21 this season, trying to change that here, but interception only buys St Albans so much time. Carter Ramsey to Ricabene. Just clears for distance.
It's not just the goals that's lacking, it's the chance creation as well, Lockie.
Well, that's the thing, is that the goals are, yes, it can be reflective of what the forwards are doing, but I think in the case of Knights, it's reflective of what's happening in the other third before it gets to the front three.
Yeah, again, reference to last season, under Ben Khan, who obviously was, had an outstanding season. The amount of chances Knights were creating in games, I was heavily criticising Kieran Bramrell throughout the year because he had 3-4 chances every game. This season it's the bare minimum, like 1, 2. Knights games have been dull.
Well, this has been a brighter start though for them in an attacking sense, and Albano is slipped in behind. Was there a touch, a save from Marco Bullich? Well, it's a corner ball, so there must have been. But for the intervention of their 22-year-old goalkeeper, St Albans Saints could be in a spot of bother in the opening exchanges of this game. At least the chances this time are coming for Knights, but sticking them away, still proving a sore point as it's overall the heads in the middle. Carrigan full stretch to attempt to keep it alive, but not able to do so. A goal kick for Knights. Well, they're making us look a bit silly at the moment, Mark. Talking about their struggles in creating chances, and they've had 2 clear-cut ones, but I think you could maybe mount the case as well that some of those chances have perhaps been of St Albans' own making, inviting that pressure onto themselves.
This Bullich has read the situation and gone long this time. And we've seen St Albans concede a fair few goals over the past few weeks, playing out from the back from their goal kicks. So just sometimes it's better just to relieve the pressure and go long and get the ball into the opponent's half.
It was certainly what stung them for the opening goal last week against Dandenong City. Tim Atharinos scoring a very nice goal, but it was a goal that came as a result of a breakdown of that transition of the ball out of the back and into midfield.
We saw against Port Melbourne as well at Churchill Reserve a couple of weeks ago. I think Brian Summerskill had 3 assists for Port Melbourne in that game.
Well, the good thing for him was it wasn't a win, but it was a little bit better on the attacking end that night too. 5-3 thriller. I don't know how many times we've seen a 5-3 scoreline at Churchill Reserve. That might be the only one. I don't know.
He's got time on the ball, so he can go.
Ben Carrigan to Corey Sewell. Carrigan, the only player who managed every minute of the season for Knights in the league. That speaks to the chopping and changing of starting 11 that you were referencing earlier, Mark.
I think this is probably the strongest 11 minus Steve White that the Knights have put out for some time. You know, Joe Franch back into defence, Saki out wide, Josella Morden in the middle, as we mentioned. It's probably the best balance they've had for a number of weeks.
It's still early doors, but the signs are, if you look at the early knockings of this game, that you might be onto something. This is a chance here, though, for St Albans to strike a shot against the bow. Sovereign stops and props. Slips it back to Joey Manek. Not the passing option that Cam Watson was best pleased with, as you can hear through the effects mic. Out to the far side to Shongo. Down he goes. And, a couple of Knights bodies, all legal in the eyes of the referee. And Joey Franjic can launch long. Second ball favoured Ricabene. Bakor with a lovely chop, and Jerez can get on his bike and very nearly thread the needle for the onrushing Nicholas Murray. 19-year-old who gets his first start of season 2024 in NPL Victoria. It's one of their 10 off-season signings, but certainly the most eyebrow-raising. Coming across from the Bendigo Amateur Soccer League. He was League Player of the Season, League Golden Boot with 26 in the season for South Shepparton. He can be even a quarter that good in what is a significant step up. They'll have a player on their hands.
Gives hope to any footballer out there. Like it, that doesn't matter where you're playing, you can get scouted for NPL Victoria. We've seen players come from interstate, but now the Shepparton region.
Yeah, well, certainly the story of his transfer would be a good one to share over a couple of drinks in the club room afterwards, I would imagine. Carter Ramsey with a nice interception. And the back heel for Jerez, a clever one, who looks to cut inside and shoot, but Joey Franjic was well positioned. The bouncing ball emphatically away by Corey Sewell. Looks as though St Albans have just regained a bit of the composure they were lacking in the opening 10. Monek given one to Chase, and as I say that, firmly strikes the commentator's curse against Carter Ramsey. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike. There's been some work done to this pitch in the period that St Albans have spent 5-6 weeks away at one go.
Yeah, it's probably the best I've seen it for a long time, Lockie. You know, often comes under heavy criticism, especially this time of the year. It's not the best pitch to play on, but it does look pretty good out there.
Certainly by its own standards, nice and lush today. And it will need to be, because this is, I believe, the first of what is a run of not seven consecutive, but 7 of the last 10 home games will be here at Churchill Reserve. Sovereign cuts it across the box. Dealt with initially Carter Ramsey. Oh, and Monek had it robbed of possession just as he was about to fire away the shot. Gergic heads for home. I do wonder, though, the point I was going to make about the grass, I wonder if they're still needing to adjust to the fact that there's more grass on this pitch at the moment. There have been a couple that have maybe just been under hit. That's used to being a very short surface where there's not a lot of not a lot of green for the ball to get held up in, but especially because there's been a bit of water today. I just wonder if there's need to recalibrate a little bit.
Look, I'm not a horticulturalist, but I know from previous experiences of being involved in games here, when there is grass on the pitch, it's a very thick type of buffalo, old school grass that you don't really see too often on sporting fields. And the ball does hold up a lot on this pitch because of that type of grass, because it's very, very thick. Again, not a horticulturist, but I have experienced it here.
In 3 sentences, you've displayed more knowledge than I'll ever hope to conjure up on my theory, so thank you for that. Here's John Albano. It's been fairly lively so far in this game. Certainly will be hoping to get a 5th goal of the season to return to the scorer sheet, but also a belated birthday celebration for John, who was celebrating yesterday. And here he is on the football. Shongo in his wake, but the offside flag is going to do a far better job of stopping him than Nelson Shongo will have to do that time around.
It's the issue with the Knights as well. You get those chances, you need to put them away. You'd be 2-0 up after the first 10-15 minutes. St Albans would be definitely down in the dumps. You miss those 2 golden chances, and they're slowly working their way back into the game now, finding their feet.
Shongo checks inside of Albano. The challenge comes through from Morton, but he held his ground very nicely. Shongo, who's only 24 years old, but done quite the tour of duty of Australian Croatian clubs across the country. North Geelong last year. He was at Croatia in WA before that.
Been actually quite impressed with him this season, Lockie. I think he's been one of the few shining lights for St Albans this season. He's enjoyed a more consistent run of games in the last couple of months. He's in a pocket of space on the far side here. And Maury will find him too. Nice little turn inside. The cross, not a bad one. And at full stretch, Ben Carrigan repels. An enterprising delivery from Nelson to Shongo. Here's Carter Ramsey back to goal. Couldn't do much in the face of 2 closing Melbourne Knights markers. Tushongo keeps that ball alive though, and if nothing else can apply a bit of pressure. And that was clever from Sewell.
Good.
I don't think he necessarily meant to clear it into Shongo's chest, but the use of the body thereafter was smart, just to get an easy goal kick to relieve the pressure.
It's Corey Sewell showing all his experience there.
And number 130 in NPL Victoria for Corey Sewell today. One of those players who, for my money, is underrated in terms of how good a footballer he actually is.
Heavily underrated.
You don't find many left backs who can do the sort of things that he can do on the ball. Some defending to do here though. As Ramsey manages to keep it clear of a raft of grey shirts converging upon him.
I'll give you a story about Corey Sewell, Lockie. So when the way he joined Knights in his first stint before leaving for the Bentley Greens, it was 2019 he joined the club, and it was 2018 Alusha Asanovic was the head coach of the Knights, and he was supposed to stay for the following season but left to Saudi Arabia. Just hold that thought for a second.
Here comes Saif Saki towards the byline in the middle for Bramwell. No touch, but the chance not dead just yet for the Knights. Hoare recycles and largely overcooks his cross, and there's a bit of crossed wires between Ivan Franjic and Saif Saki as St Albans Saints look to clear the ball. We wait for the moment to bring back Markovic's story time, because I was interested.
Yeah, and Asanovic, when he was recruiting for the following season, that's when Corey Sewell had his big afro, said, make sure you sign the boy with the afro from Bulleen, because he's the best player I've seen in Victoria. And sure enough, we signed him, and Asanovic was on his merry way.
Lovely stuff from Saif Saki on the right-hand side. A lovely story from you, but you could be forgiven for not realising that that's the same Corey Sewell who used to play for Bulleen back in the day, because the haircut is, as you said, very different. Used to go by the nickname Sideshow Bob back in the day.
The point of the story was a coach of Sarnovic's calibre obviously rated Corey Sewell that highly back then, when he was a youngster, to make sure that he was the first player that we recruited for the following season.
And not much has changed, really. He has been a quality player year on year in NPL Victoria. Of course, he broke up that stint at Melbourne Knights with years at Bentley Greens, winning plenty of silverware. Stint back in his native Queensland during the COVID year of 2020. Enjoying life back at the Knights, and I think Knights fans are definitely enjoying having him back in what is his second season.
Yes,
in the return.
Yes, Joey.
Michael Gergich. Up short for Max King. Another Queensland product on the football here.
It's okay, Nicky.
See, there are a few St Albans attackers hoping to get this one moved a bit more quickly, but Coach Cam Watson happy to keep things ticking in possession. This is the style they're trying to bet in. Bakor, nice pass for Tashongo, who attempted to return the favour, but perhaps might have decided otherwise if he had his time again. Here's Ricabene. Nice tempo to this game at the moment, but St Albans still probing for an opening. Both sides still probing for the opening goal.
This is my concern for St Albans, this area of the pitch when they try and retain possession. Just the decision making, some of the forward passes. One from Michael Gergich. It's either you're going to retain possession and try and move it side to side and stretch the opponent, or hit your target man. That was a ball to no one really.
So I think it was a really interesting point that you made, but before we went on air, so I'll give you the platform to bring it up on air so you can get your flowers. But I don't think there's anything wrong. In many cases, there's a lot of good things about trying to take the club this way, and I think we've seen a lot of the Croatian clubs, Ben Khan, Nick Tolios at Dandenong City, try to reinvent the wheel with a fresher, more modern style of football. But it wasn't exactly... Let's just hold that thought for a moment. Tashongo is not having to worry about John Albano breathing down his neck because there was a use of the hand in the build-up by Albano. But the problem with that change of style, particularly with the transfer window being so late into the season as it is here, is this was definitely, and I mean this with no disrespect to the players, not a squad that was signed when Ryan McGuffey was the head coach to play that way. It was very much a more physical, defense-first, counter-attacking brand of football. And there were, patches not bad at doing that. But you are asking players to relearn something that is not necessarily natural to some of them.
Yeah, and look, it takes a specific type of player to play that brand of football that Cam wants to play, and he had that in City where he was, the high-level calibre of players, and you can see, he's left and David Chick's taken over, and it's business as usual because they're high-quality players. But
oh, great ball from Albano. Bramwell, surely there it is for Kieran Bramwell. There it is for Melbourne Knights. The deadlock finally breaks, and it's the man who's been doing the business for them for large parts of this season, Kieran Bramwell. An 8th goal of the season on the road for the Knights, and what a ball as well in the lead-up from John Albano. We talked about how He'd had a bright start to this game, and now he's got a tangible return, and so too to Ivan Franjić's side.
Fantastic ball by Albano, but geez, we're right on cue. We're talking about that possession-based football, cheap turnover in the middle of the park, and then not just go 1-2 passes over the top, and Bramwell's through, and it's 1-0.
Yeah, it was a great first-time ball, just clipped in behind by Albano, really helping the ball on its way, but certainly the other side of the perspective was that maybe was an opening goal a little bit too easily afforded.
I just don't understand where the desperation in defence is there, Lockie. You're sitting bottom of the table in a derby against your fellow Croatian club. You need to be fighting for that ball. You can't let Bramwell get in behind you so easily. And even Albano had all the time in the world to play that pass.
Sort of a response to Albans. Bakor left with a lot of options. Short he heads for Nicholas Mori. And back to Shongo, who's been one of St Albans' most heavily involved players so far. Had a fair bit of joy in those wide areas, but the cut and thrust through the middle has been a real challenge.
It's a very high line from St Albans as well. Both fullbacks extremely high, and the central pairing of
that was a heart-in-mouth moment for Chris Oldfield. It was a little opportunistic swing on the edge of the box that was, I think, touched over by Jack Morton. There are a few frozen statues in the Knights' defence as that ball sailed within a whisker of the goal frame. And this would really rebuild the belief if St Albans could strike back quickly. The in-swinging corner, easy pickings for the Knights' defence.
There wasn't one St Albans player in sight to challenge for that ball there. There's about 4 Knights defenders and no St Albans attackers. Just need to be a little bit more desperate in the box as well.
Murray muscled off the ball by Corey Sewell. Albano with plenty of paddock to work with and plenty of time too. That's good covering work by Murray, who, Mark, I feel like got a bit of a welcome to NPL Victoria from Corey Sewell there. Just muscled off the ball a little bit too easily, but that's the standard of fullback you're going to come up against in this league. Shaulina to Shongo. Hits for home in Bullich. Try as he might, Nicholas Mori couldn't keep that as a St Albans ball.
I think Albano must have got confidence as a birthday present, Lockie, because he's up and about this afternoon. And by his own admission, he'd admit that he's had a probably below par season so far. He mentioned he's only scored 4 goals so far, and even his assists are probably down as well. But he's buzzing around this afternoon.
Usually most people, Mark, the night after their birthday are a bit worse for wear, but it does not seem to be the case at all for Gian Albano.
I'm sure he had a nice,
maybe the party's tonight, I don't know.
Possibly, I'm sure he would have had a nice margarita pizza there. Probably maybe 1 or 2 glasses of red.
Whatever he did, it certainly helped his game today. To Shongo. Easy pickings for Carrigan, but a bit of a cheap turnover from the Knights' defence. Luckily they close ranks swiftly enough to win it back. Jerez battles hard, but stood up by a brick wall that was Jack Morton, and Saki is released on the right. The early cross, a good one, and at full stretch. Michael Gergic had to keep it away from the clutches of Gian Albano.
That's the difference there, Lockie. Jack Morton put his body on the line twice in that little passage of play there to win the ball back for his side. And St Albans should take a bit of a few notes from that bit of play. You're able to win the ball in the middle of the park and then break away. And that's what I've found about St Albans the last few weeks. Like, I don't think some of the players realise the situation they're in. It's like they were coasting along. Moreland City wasn't getting points, and then all of a sudden you find yourself on the bottom of the table.
Carter Ramsey driving his way forward. Not a bad effort to get the shot off, but Joey Franich proving a tough customer. I think that is an interesting thought to raise, though. It was so easy to think that, particularly given the possibility that there will only be one team relegated this season, that Moreland City, with 13 straight losses to start the season, were just, you know, a sure thing. But they finally strung a couple of, well, they got one win, and that really changed the script. Exactly what St Albans are hoping to do, not just in this game, but in their own form more generally. It's been interesting. That's been the story in both of the top two state tiers this season. North Geelong looked like dead certs for relegation, all of a sudden within reach of Werribee, just above them. Still a bit more room to do there, of course, but just that one, maybe if nothing else, there's a lesson there that sometimes all you need is that one win to get the monkey off the back, and that can change the confidence levels. It does feel like that's what St Albans are looking for themselves. Bramwell picks the pocket of the St Albans defence. In goes Ricabene, free kick Melbourne Knights. And a decision to make here for the referee, which is going to see James Ricabene head into the book, and Kieran Bramwell receive some medical attention. Another situation where Kieran Bramwell's fight and want to win the ball made it his when it probably shouldn't have been.
It was a dangerous tackle on the edge of the area, but again, Lockie, we can see losing the ball in the wrong areas, St Albans. You know, it's been the story of the past few weeks. I think in terms of the relegation battle, the concern for St Albans is that Moreland City, pretty much the squad is the same as last season, and you know they've been there and done that, fought that battle and won it, so they know what it takes to get out of the situation that they're in. Whereas this St Albans squad has, like you said, 10 new faces to it, and I'm not sure if those boys have been involved in relegation battles before, but it's not pretty. And, you know, yet to be determined whether they have the mentality to get out of this hole that they're in.
Yeah, and it can be a perilous position for unexperienced sides or players. Bentley Greens will be more than happy to tell you their story. Well, probably not very happy, actually, but they definitely have got a story to tell in that regard. And luckily, Kieran Bramwell's back to his feet. There were no shortage of wanting takers for this free kick, but looks as though it'll be captain coach Ivan Franjic. As Franjic steps up and curls it into the wall. A couple of half-hearted appeals for handball, but nothing doing. Carrigan fires the ball across the face. Franjic was returning from an offside position, so that makes it a bit of an easy case to deal with for Jacob Sovereign. Nice footwork from Mitch Hoare. Morton drops it into the path of Corey Sewell. Nice build-up from the Knights. The right-footed cross can only find the chrome dome of Michael Gergich.
It's okay, let's get up, it's okay, let's go!
These Knights are very comfortable at the moment, aren't they, Lockie? I just can't see St Albans at the moment how they're going to create chances besides from turnovers like that.
Yeah, and you know, you think back to, it was still early doors and we hadn't really seen any indication of whether he was going to have a good or a poor game, but Brian Summerskill, both this season and last season when it was a very different St Albans Saints, such an important piece in that chance creation space, and to lose him so early is such a tough thing to take, particularly because his replacement, Scott Bakor, is not exactly a creative midfielder. He's more often than not a central striker.
It's so frustrating as a head coach to have probably your main playmaker just come off with injury 5 minutes into the game. Just throws your whole game plan out the window.
Underneath! Stronger, Nick Murray! Come on!
That one breaks very kindly for Anthony Dozell. His 160th NPL Victoria appearance today. Saki goes from distance, and Bullich has spilled it, so Melbourne Knights pick up a bit of a corner, well, a cheap corner, it must be said. I mean, Saif Saki is capable of the spectacular, but that one looked, even off the boot, like it was going to be pretty comfortable for Marko Bullich.
Cheap would be an understatement there. Like, there's a bargain corner, and I would be frothing at the mouth if I was at Albans and they concede from this one.
Saki to take a high ball. Franich was there at the back post, but never made contact. I don't think anyone did. Out of play at the opposite side for a goal kick, so Marko Bullich can rest somewhat easier. I say somewhat, there is still plenty of football to be played. Down goes Ben Carrigan, and off goes the whistle from the referee.
Turn the face! Stay!
He was listed on Sports TG and on the team sheets. Mark Ivkovic as FA Football Australia Interstate Referee. I assume that's not his government name. We've got a WWE style special guest ref.
Should refer to him as the Heartbreak Kid.
I was expecting walkout music to come off when the refs brought the teams out. Speaking of music, you can maybe pick up the boom box on the hill here at St Albans. Active supporters behind the Dynamo coaching bench who always make a good noise, whether it's their voices or their music choices, their Spotify. Saki gets the eyes up, outside the foot cross. Bramwell flicks it on. A great save from Bullich. Tipping it away. It took, I think, an extra touch after the connection from Kieran Bramwell. They continue to live dangerously, do the hosts.
That's a great save from Bullich. I thought he was beaten for all money there, but a late hand.
Good reactions, because he did have to readjust pretty quickly to that extra little nick that the ball took towards goal. Franich with another corner. This one easy pickings at the front post for St Albans. Bramwell was back doing defensive duty. Michael Gergich, the furthest player forward. To Shongo on his bike. Has to go early, does go early, and Oldfield comes, doesn't get it. Wave of the arms, open goal, cleared off the line. Goodness gracious me, that was chaos. Pure chaos in 20 seconds here at Churchill Reserve. The shot on the edge of the box, I believe, from Carter Ramsey was goalward bound, and it took two Knights defenders to repel it as it trickled its way towards goal. And that was nearly the contest turned on its head.
It was some of the sloppiest play I've seen all season in 20 seconds there. So Oldfield, probably no reason to come out for that ball. And then the deflected clearance nearly catching the Knights out.
Here's the resultant corner. There's an attack at the near post from Josh Murray, and so close to a debut NPL Victoria goal. A second clearance at as many seconds off the line from the Knights. A more shallow delivery from Deshongo. That one, a far simpler proposition for Ben Carrigan.
Now this is where St Albans need to click into third gear now and start going for a little bit. 5 minutes to go till half time. We've got a little bit of momentum. It's a perfect opportunity to start throwing numbers forward and putting the Knights under pressure.
Really tear up the script of the opening 35 minutes if St Albans were to find themselves level.
Joey, travel!
On the far side as well. Always is when the Croatian clubs are going head to head, especially on a long weekend. To Shongo. Trying to trick his opposite number in Corey Sewell.
It's fine.
Not a bad run from Nelson to Shongo. Still need to find some cut through though.
Fuck me.
Sovereign. We'll try again through Ricabene. Bakor nearly lost his footing but managed to hold his ground, and the coverage comes across from captain coach Ivan Franic.
And credit to the captain coach, because the Knights do appear to be very organised this afternoon, Lockie.
Nelson, get it early.
All 11 behind the ball right now, just soaking up that pressure.
You could, wearing as many hats as he does, you could forgive Ivan Franic for maybe missing a thing or two in terms of how he sets up the team. He's got so much to worry about. Oh, that was a big hip and shoulder from Joseph Cholina. Well, that's playing a bit more playing for the shirt. It was rough and tumble, but you dare say it's what St Albans need a little bit more of, because when they're a bit soft through the centre, this is what can happen. Mitch Hoare to Saki. Albano free as a bird on the far side and picked out, but the touch just showed enough for Michael Gergic to deal with the danger.
Knights probably should have thrown a couple more numbers forward in that passage of play. Albano was a bit isolated. It was a good opportunity. They stole the ball in the middle of the park, as they have done a few times so far in the opening half. We'll just content on getting into the halftime break with the lead.
Oh, hot football from Gergic to Shongo. Cholina is going to find similar trouble as the Knights press comes through, and they're forced into a clearance the home side. Gobbled up by the Knights midfield. Dazelle. Interception by Carter Ramsey. Good atoning for lax marking in the previous phase of play. Now Jerez. Lovely chop inside. Pass here. Sovereign! And a few went up on the coaching box side, thinking it was certainly an equaliser for Dinamo, but Sovereign denied by Chris Oldfield, who proves his worth once again.
There was a big opportunity there. That's more like it from St Albans, though. Quick movement and numbers breaking forward.
Shallow short corner. Cholina robbed of possession, legally so. This could be a pivotal moment as it's 2-on-2. Dinamo and Knights. Saif Saki, the runner comes through. The play pulled back for a free kick, I believe, to St Albans. Well, it would have to be. And it looked as though it was a bit of an ugly coming together between two players in the centre circle. Michael Gergic and perhaps Ivan Franic, maybe Anthony Dazelle. Should have been just off camera, but the referee's got a decision to make here, and looks as though in the end there will be no cards required.
Well, going up the replay, Lockie, it was Albano and Gergic that clashed in the middle of the park. Should be a free kick for the Melbourne Knights. Really, Gergic is the one that's brought down Albano in that passage of play so he couldn't break away. So, I'm not sure what the heartbreak kid saw there, but
well, given that's probably their interpretation as well. I mean, the Melbourne Knights, that is. You can understand why they so stridently argued the point thereafter, because it was a 3-on-2 that they had going forward.
It's a bizarre decision. It's very trigger happy there.
Gergic, firm left boot away. He'll have to do so again. Instead, this time a little bit more calm and composed. Short. Sovereign picks up a pocket of space. A ball asking the question of Carter Ramsey, who's managed to have it fall into his lap fortuitously, and comes to nothing in the end. A goal kick for Melbourne Knights as we get nice and close towards the halftime interval.
It's been impressive so far this afternoon. Sovereign for St Albans. All the dangerous attacks have come down his side.
Talk about whether or not some of these new faces at St Albans Dynamo are used to a relegation battle. Well, Jacob Sovereign, if nothing else, is someone who would claim to that a bit of that experience, having been at Eastern Lions and North Geelong. And St Albans Dynamo still hoping that they can avoid suffering the same fate of those two clubs as we head to the sheds. The signs are there that there is still a fair bit to play for in this game. Melbourne Knights do have the lead, courtesy of Kieran Bramwell, who opened the scoring on minute 27. Knights finally taking what were a number of very solid chances to break the deadlock, but thereafter St Albans did give them a little bit to think about. There were a couple of clearances off the line. There was a big header from the St Albans striker, who is in his first game or first start for the club, in Nicholas Morrie. There was another shot from Carter Ramsey that also had to be helped away from goal. The Knights still did have their chances to add to the tally on the break, but a big team talk, I think, awaits Mark Ivkovic for Cam Watson, of course for Ivan Franjic too, but it's still a delicately poised game, even if Knights, you could argue, have had enough chances to be far more in control than the scoreline currently suggests they are.
Yeah, spot on, Lockie. I think Knights have been in not total control, but a fair amount of control of the game, and you know, they might come to rue some of those missed chances, because in a derby game like this, all it's going to take is one moment for St Albans to get right back into it.
Yeah, the chances to score have been there for both sides. Will Melbourne Knights be left to rue the ones they've missed? We're going to find out on the other side of this break. We'll be back in 15 minutes on NPL Victoria YouTube for the second half of St Albans Saints 0, Melbourne Knights 1. We're back at Churchill Reserve. 45 minutes of football to be played between St Albans Saints and Melbourne Knights on your Sunday long weekend. Usually it'll be the last game of the weekend on the Sunday, but of course the pleasures, the privileges of the long weekend mean that we still have some football to come tomorrow. Oakley Cannons to face Dandenong City at Jack Edwards Reserve at 3 p.m. on a Monday. But until then, we've got an entertaining second half to bring to you here in round 17. It is Melbourne Knights with the lead as we enter the second 45, courtesy of the man who is about to get us kicked off, Kieran Bramwell. He got the go-ahead goal that Melbourne Knights deserved on the weight of chances on minute 27. And it was a tough opening 30 minutes for St Albans, but they did rally. They did manage to give Knights a few more things to think about, and they'll be hoping to do that and more as we get into the second half, because they are still looking to get their first points of Cam Watson's tenure and end a 9-game losing streak. Will that desperation throw up an entertaining second 45? Let's find out. Lockie Flanagan and Mark Ivkovic back with you on NPL Victoria YouTube for the second half. Mark, work to do for St Albans in this second stanza. Are they capable of doing it, and what do they need to do in your eyes?
Yeah, well, your first point is right. A lot of work to do. They just need to move the ball quicker. You know, they want to keep possession, that's fine, but they need to move it a lot quicker, especially probably out wide, and get numbers into the box. You know, when they have been attacking, they've been very isolated. And I think a quicker ball movement and a few crosses into the box will put the Knights' defence under a bit more pressure. Are they capable of doing it? We'll see in the next 45 minutes, Lockie.
Hoping that they can give us their answer to that question as soon as possible. I'm sure that St Albans fans who are in attendance as well will be hoping the same thing. And interestingly, despite the half-time deficit, Cam Watson has bucked a trend that's been apparent in his opening 4 games. This is the first time in 5 matches in charge that he has not made a substitution at half-time. So he sticks with the starting 11, and it's a starting 11 that have some defending to do here, and by hook or by crook they were just about able to do it. No flag up against Kieran Bramwell, so Albano with a free look at the football, but Carter Ramsey able to stop the ball in its tracks.
I think the main thing St Albans need to do is eliminate the turnovers in their own defensive half and give them half a chance to get back into the game.
They have been their own worst enemy at times today, even if this has been a more impressive Knights performance that we've seen in the previous 3 weeks. We've left them without any wins to speak of. Carter Ramsey. Bakor. Here is Carter Ramsey getting this shot off. And it was dipping at a rate of knots wide of goal, but that is the kind of daring do, risk-taking that Dynamo need more of if they're going to get level and then some in this second half. A nice patch of build-up play though. The likes of Max King, Carter Ramsey, all involved. That's what Cam Watson will be wanting to see a little more of.
That's what the crowd will want to see more of, and that's the advantage of playing at Churchill Reserve. When you start peppering the opponent's goal, you get the crowd right involved with their Dynamo chants, and it can lift the players.
Jerez hustled off the ball. Saki marching his way towards the byline. A firing cross to Shongo. Just gets the faintest of touches, but a necessary one to keep it clear of the advancing John Albano at the back stick.
You can see the difference between the two sides when they counter-attack and break. Knights are looking like they're going to score every time that they win the ball in transition. Whereas St Albans, they just look like they're going to cough it up every time they're trying to play around with the ball.
There's no delay or dalliance when they see the open space. How will they attack this corner? It's headed back towards goal. Looked like a handball and fired over the top by Joey Franjic. He's only scored one goal in NPL Victoria across nearly 200 games now. You can see why. Shot like that from point blank range. We'll have to have another look at that one on the replay, though. It did seem as though it might have struck a St Albans hand as it was headed back across goal by Corey Sewell.
Definitely struck the hand, and the referee thought about it for a second. Not sure why he shied away from not giving a penalty there.
Well, St Albans live to fight another day. Alan Jerez inside for Cholina. On the far side, Carter Ramsey with plenty to aim at in the middle, one of whom is Bakor, but Ivan Franjic diving down to block the ball. We're coming back once again, though, to Shongo. Great cross. Jerez! Great save. Fantastic stop by Chris Oldfield. Oh, here's just the gift that keeps on giving in the Melbourne Knights net at the moment. We've had some good saves today, but that is probably the best of the bunch.
What a save. Point blank, quick reflexes. Oldfield's won and back the clock this season, isn't he?
The two-time NPL Victoria Goalkeeper of the Year, reminding us exactly why. Corner ball taken short, allowed to bounce, and there was a faint touch. Time by Nicholas Murray, who went very close to restoring parity late on in the first half. His header cleared off the line from a corner. And they have had a bit of a challenge at times, Mark, attacking the ball when it's there to be won, both just from open play, but particularly from corners. But Nick Murray is slowly but surely starting to buck that trend.
He's working his way into the game. You asked me what they needed to do, and I said get crosses into the box, move the ball out wide and get numbers in there. So far so good for St Albans to the start of this second half.
Definitely playing with a little more verve and vigour. Jerez, sights of goal, and a crucial touch off the bonce of Joey Franjic. This is the start that Cam Watson was hoping for. A number of shots in quick succession, and all of a sudden a game that after 45 minutes played looked in the hands of Melbourne Knights. And St Albans finally starting to seriously ask the question.
It's much better from St Albans. It's a dream start, really. Just need a goal to top it all off.
Plenty of promise. Can they deliver on it? Here comes the corner, but Gergic's header is across rather than towards goal. But the pressure will be sustained as Joey Franjic has had probably more defending to do in the last 5 minutes than he's had to do in the opening 45 minutes. Clears away as the sun shines once again at Churchill Reserve. Jerez slipping in behind the defence once again, and that's a cruel touch off the Argentine attacker. The old double deflection off the forward. Not much you can do about those ones.
No, there isn't, but I'll tell you what, these next 10 minutes will show us the mentality of this St Albans squad, whether they do have the fight in them to get themselves out of the situation they're in, because this is the moment where you got to smell the blood. You know, you've got your opponent on the ropes a little bit, got a bit of momentum, you've got to put your foot on the throttle and really start going for it.
All of a sudden, this game feels like it's in such a crucial moment. A real chance for St Albans, who, let's not forget, are bottom of the table, level on points with Moreland City, who looked uncatchable after 13 rounds played at the bottom of the table. Here's a chance, though, cut back, and a corner for Melbourne Knights. Kieran Bramwell just trying to give the Dinamo defence something to think about.
I'm taking credit for Moreland City's turnaround, Lockyer. It's, you know, when they were winless, I put a tweet out to your incredibly fantastic podcast that when are we going to start talking about how poor Moreland City's been, and they've picked up 7 points since that tweet.
I'll send you the check in the mail afterwards as well. They have been resurgent, and St Albans have felt it. Are they going to feel the sting of a second goal here? No, Bullich repels double fist away, but Sucky fancies it and can only find the big chain link fence behind the goals. And the Cars can breathe a sigh of relief behind the goal.
It's okay. I like it, Jacob. Stand up. Stand up. It's okay. It's okay, Jacob. It's okay. It's okay.
It is crucial, though, Mark, if they're going to get back into this game, St Albans, that they capitalise on the momentum in this opening 5 to 10, because you can only sustain what has been a very manic energy for so long. Carter Ramsey.
That's the point I was trying to make, Lockie. You've got to smell the blood. You've got that momentum. You really need to find a way to get the ball into the back of the net to reward the good work that you've been doing. Otherwise, Knights can quickly go up the other end and kill all that momentum off.
Sholina and King able to conspire to retrieve possession for the hosts.
Good, Max. Good, Max.
King kept a cool head. That was nicely done. And the man in midfield for St Albans. The midfield that was hit with a blow early doors. Brian Summerskill, their star creator, lost to injury inside the opening 5 minutes. These are the transition moments, though, where Knights have proved so dangerous, so efficacious in their attack.
Carter, in here.
And the commentator's curse strikes again.
It's back here. It's back here. It's back here.
You can see what Saif Saki was trying to do, but no one else was picking up what he was putting down. In any case, Bramwell over the top for Hoare. Lovely juggle. Can he fire off a shot? The answer is no. Agile from Bullich to snuff it out en route. Another, I guess, thing to think about in this second half, Mark, of course, is the substitutes that could make an impact. We've already seen this man, Scott Bakor, come onto the field. And we'll stay with the only substitute of the game so far, Scott Bakor. Jerez, he had a pop earlier. He'll have a cross this time. And unfortunately for Nick Murray, the ground gave way beneath his feet, but kept alive by Cholina. Numbers remaining forwards. Sovereign outside of the foot pass. Bakor, a block in the way, and a clearance from Ivan Franjic. Another corner for St Albans. They've had 4 or 5 already in this second half.
I think Joey Monek coming off the bench for St Albans will be crucial for them towards the back end of the game.
Shouts for handball. Jerez stands it up. Gergic contests at the back post. Carter Ramsey, a bit of a heavy first touch and not a bad second one, but the shot corkscrews away from goal. Chris Oldfield not forced into another fantastic save this time. But you are right, the presence of Joey Monek looms large. And the other side of the equation, the Melbourne Knights with a few injuries, a few absentees, they do have a fairly youthful bench by their standards. Felipe Sanchez, Thomas Karlovic, John Mabok, Luke Fack and Eden Griganovic. I dare say, along with the exception of the only non-outfield player in Jakob Wiseman, all Melbourne Knights academy or youth players at some point as well?
Yeah, they all are. Most of them from the current youth team at the moment that have been there for a while, and Felipe Sanchez is also one of the Knights youth team products. We've got a few players out today. No Tommy Semi, no Steve White. But as the famous U2 song goes, Lockie, the Saints are coming.
Very good. Very, very good. Josh Diven, Adam Hodor, Chris Dibb, the other options on the bench. It would be a long-awaited return to football for Chris Dibb. You don't think they'll need a centre-back at this stage of the game, but Josh Diven and Joey Monac certainly looming as options.
They've got a couple of half-decent options coming off the bench this afternoon.
Even Adam Hodor is a good player to inject some fresh legs into the midfield.
Interested to see how Cam Watson uses Joey Monac. A lot of the previous coaches over the probably last 3 or 4 years been using him as a fullback. I don't think that's his best position, to be honest. Like he started off as a winger and then got converted into a fullback. I think his best position is as a winger, and he can use that explosive speed to get behind his fullbacks. I think he'll give the Knights a bit of a headache once he comes onto the pitch.
Well, it's easy to forget about that position change because it had mostly been the left-back slot for him in the top flight, but pretty sure he was St Albans' top scorer in the year they won the NPL2 West, as it was back then, title to get promoted.
And came through the Melbourne Heart youth team as a winger as well.
Sure did. Saif Saki poked across for Albano, and now Mitch Hall will try his luck into the breadbasket of Marko Bulic. They are still continuing to leave the door open for the Knights on the break. The good thing is for Cam Watson's side is they're starting to give their opponents a lot more to think about in the opposite direction.
100% lucky. We spoke in the first half. Can't see how St Albans are going to score in this game, but they've had chance after chance in this second half.
There's been a substitution, little pink slip handed to the fourth official, which means we are going to see a change in the coming minutes. Pause though for this quickly taken free kick. Sovereign. And now Jerez looking to curl it. Another blocked shot by the Melbourne Knights backline. A little bump there from Joseph Choliner, and an easy decision at his vantage point to make for the referee. So Joey Choliner's time is still to come, you would imagine, but Josh Diven's time is, if not now, then in the seconds to come, as I don't know whether this is inspired by the introduction of Josh Diven, but the St Albans fans on the hill with their boombox have decided to play Venga Bus right now, which is certainly a choice.
It's my 2-year-old daughter's favourite song at the moment, Lockie.
I was going to say, I know you've got to leave the kids somewhere to commentate, Mark, but that's the St Albans Hill is an interesting daycare centre. Great touch from Saki. Clever little back heel, and now Morton can dart the eyes up, put the cross into the middle, over all the heads in the centre. Sewell with a half-hearted effort, but good tracking back by Nicholas Murray. Just needs to move the ball a little bit faster here. Gergic forced to clear. Carter Ramsey will never get onto the ball because Dizelle has stopped it en route. Just got it trapped under his feet there to Nicholas Murray. 19-year-old. First start, 7th appearance of the year. And might it have opened the door for the Knights at the other end. Bramwell. Good physical work by Nelson Tashongo. And they have to head for home in the form of Joey Franic. Game between he and his brother Ivan. They've started together in every game so far in Ivan's tenure. That's a great story. Two brothers playing alongside one another in the back four. That's just a great story to have Ivan Franic coaching at the club where his senior footballing career all started, of course, in St Albans Saints. He was a Knights junior before that, let's not forget, but in terms of men's football, this is where it started back in 2005.
He was also a St Albans junior as well, Lockie. Played his junior career at both sides.
Quite a lot of players who tend to serve a tour of duty in both setups. Those that maybe start rurally as well in North Geelong and then come into closer into the city too. Josh Diven is on the field as well, I should add. Bakor, a laboured touch. Saki forced to track a little bit wider than perhaps he would have liked. Nearly sent James Ricabene for a hot dog. Saki continuing to confound the defence. Albano into the middle, into the side netting, in fact.
Haven't seen that for a number of years now. Fourth official
board, yeah. That's usually a setup that's confined only to the Veneto Club, which is the only place that seems to not have a fourth official board. But we had Scott Bakor forget his kit when he was supposed to come on. We have no fourth official board. Funny things are happening at Churchill Reserve. Will we have more goals on the way, though, is the question. Albano across for Mitch Hoare. Clever stuff from James Ricabene. As we see the substitute Nicholas Murray come to the bench after completing his first start in a Dinamo shirt. Great run from Saki around a number of defenders. Albano, little clipping ball for Mitch Hoare to chase and to deliver. Once again, over the top of the box, but recycled by Saki. Rabona cross, Bramwell flicks it on. Bullich comes up with a save to match, and that would have been a goal for the highlight reel, just for the assist if nothing else, had it have bowled to the back of the net.
Yeah, no right to win that ball, Bramwell. Excellent work to get in front of his defender. Great save by Bullich.
What have you made of Kieran Bramwell's sophomore season? He does have 8 goals for the campaign now, a better return than last year, and scoring at a more consistent rate.
He's been more effective this season. Yeah, I think he's had a lot less opportunities to score than he did last season. It takes interstaters sometimes 2-3 years to really find their feet in Victoria, especially from WA. Not many have really come across and hit the ground running.
Josh Diven given one to chase. Joey Franich, the last things he'd want to see is a fresh-faced youngster chasing him down at full pelt.
It is difficult for these interstaters, you're moving across to Victoria. Most of them come from, really good weather, come to the freezing cold of Melbourne and, find yourself, make friends, leave your family. It's not as easy as, people think it is. And then they can contribute to the way you train and play football.
I feel like with WA in particular, it's quite a hit or miss sort of rate when it comes to signings. Queensland is usually the place where the best come from and often perform. New South Wales can be up and down. But I feel like WA, they're either massive Liam Boland level hits, or they can be, I won't do anyone the injustice of naming them, but busts, let's say.
Oh, look, Joe Knowles and Stefan Valentini as well from WA, they're probably the ones that really stand out. But then you've got, no disrespect, but the likes of Steve Sokol came across as, he was the top goal scorer by a mile in WA, had a standout season, and he's playing statewide football now at Sydenham Park. He's just dropped down the levels as the years have gone on since he came to Victoria. And there's a number of those from WA that just haven't made the cut. Talking about ones that I've dealt with. There was Calvin Whitney as well.
I remember Calvin Whitney.
Big raps and struggled really in his time at the Knights, and then went back to WA and won the Player of the Season the year that he went back.
Morton, a good touch. Hoare, surely, yes, there it is. 2-0 Melbourne Knights. They get the goal that they've needed in this second half. The breathing space arrives. And it arrives through the endeavour of Jack Morton to keep the ball alive at the touchline. And an unerring finish from Mitch Hoare. And that is a real sucker punch for St Albans. Credit to Jack Morton, who just held his line, and Mitch Hoare from that distance. The angle to work with was a tight one, but he found the gap at the near post, and that will take the weight off the shoulders of Melbourne Knights as the pressure was building at quite a distance.
It's just too easy there for Mitch Hoare to have that amount of space in the penalty box and have time to take a touch and put it away. So like you said, Lockie, it's a massive sucker punch, and we spoke about do the St Albans Saints have the mentality to get back into this one. They started off brightly but didn't find the back of the net, and now it's a massive hill to climb for them.
It'll almost be a hard reset if they get the instant reply here. Bakor swings it in, side-footed away by Joey Frunage, who his influence really has grown on the game in the second half. Shongo misread it in flight. And Albano, well, there could be more trouble here. Bakor, we're going to have to duck for cover here. Not quite. Cam Watson nearly had to. A long clearance from Ben Carrigan.
There's 4 of you here. Come on.
Yeah, you can't help but think to that opening 5 to 10 minute patch that St Albans had, where they really were not just in control but dominating this game and actually creating some chances to match. Shows the importance of taking your chances and also the value of a good goalkeeper like Chris Oldfield.
Yeah, well, as the famous AFL saying goes, Lockie, scoreboard pressure. You know, you can have all the momentum and create all the chances you want, but if you don't put the ball in the back of the net, it doesn't mean anything, does it?
No, and Melbourne Knights, they allowed, it was part of the reason rather, that St Albans were able to stay into the game into the halftime interval. To Shongo, getting the cross overcooked, but it falls kindly to Jerez, who, gee, he got a lot behind that one. Another important block. Ramsey on the spin, and a member of the St Albans Saints residential community has just picked them up themselves up a free football.
I reckon the houses behind that goal have enough footballs to start a 200-man academy, I reckon. And balls that would have sailed over that fence over the years.
I'm not surprised there is not an abundance of skylights in the houses behind those fences, let's say that. Into the final 20 minutes here at Churchill Reserve. Melbourne Knights looking odds-on to arrest a 3-game winless run. And looking odds-on to add to the tally. Albano, his first touch sent him backwards.
So Jack Morden's been sensational this afternoon, Lockie, really controlling that midfield for the Knights.
So I dare say this is one of the best games I've seen him play in a Melbourne Knights shirt. Is this ball going to sit up for Saki? It will, and the intent was there from Bramwell, so too was the save from Marco Bulic. A corner. Another effort from the flags for Knights. That's the second time in this second half that we've seen, again, I don't want to use AFL parlance, but Kieran Bramwell get a chance because he just wanted it more.
Yeah, he's very desperate this afternoon, isn't he, Bramwell? And his forward line pressure has been exceptional.
All eyes on the delivery of Saki, which is a nice one, but can only find whether it was fist of Marco Bulic, head of Michael Gergic, or a combination of both. We'll leave you to decide. As Melbourne Knights make their first substitution of the day. Thomas Karlovic will be the player to come on.
Anthony Giselle making way.
So, like-for-like change in midfield, or are we going to see a few chops and changes here?
I think we'll see Joey Frunage move into the midfield now and Karlovic slot into defence. Looks like Ivan Frunage has moved centrally and Thomas Karlovic will move out to the right.
So a few movings of the Magnets. The Knights coaching staff. Bramwell gets up. Ricabene attempted to head it behind, and that was a job made all the easier for Marco Bulic to retrieve. Just the 5th appearance of the season for Thomas Karlovic. All of those substitute appearances have come since Ivan Frunage took the reins, so It's maybe a slightly reductive reasoning, Mark, but it suggests that certainly Ivan sees something in the attacker, or the defender rather, who's doing the attacking here on the ball. Bramwell, the space opened up for him, but the shot not his best.
He's got big reps, Thomas Karlovic, at the club. You know, he was there last season and had a couple of appearances, more so in the cup run. He came across from the Melbourne Victory youth team.
Take him, Treble!
Sovereign being urged forward by Cam Watson. If they're going to claim anything from this game, in the sense they need to score quickly. The next 5 to 10, Bakor. Oh, that is poor. And that is maybe a summation of where the heads and hearts are at for St Albans right now.
Took the words right out of my mouth, Lockie. That sums up their afternoon. But even that desperation from Mitch Hall there, just to put pressure on the ball player, just the, you know, the desperation is there. That's what St Albans need to have in their locker in the situation they're in. They need more desperation, more fight in the middle of the park especially.
And if they don't, they're going to head into a 10th consecutive loss in the league. Things have been a little bit kinder for them in the cup. They'll face South Melbourne in the coming weeks. If they win that, they'll be in the national rounds, which would be quite the topsy-turvy story given their league form, but you'd expect South Melbourne to be winning that one and booking a national round berth. Carter Ramsey through the legs. Monek couldn't have the instant impact. May still, though. He's on the field in place of Max King as Sovereign drives the ball in. Bakor couldn't hold his ground. Neither could Cholina as Saki continues. And falls at the feet of Mitch Hoare. Albano now. The Knights' numbers building. Plenty in the middle to aim at, but all of them missed. And Joey Monek is back to drop in. Help puts on his way to Alan Jerez. He's got a decision to make here. Heads in field and picks a decent ball through for Scott Bakor, just a little bit wide, but the Englishman keeps it alive. Diven scoops the cross. The end result the same once again. Will he have another look? Josh Diven, Jerez, Monek, they're playing with their food here. Do they get the goal back? That's the question. Bakor, Monek always fighting a losing battle. The diminutive attacker at the back post, and Karlovic can, well, momentarily bring safety and control to proceedings. 16 games without a win. It's the longest winless run that St Albans have ever gone. That one stretches across 2 seasons, March of 21 to Feb of 22. 16 in one season would be just about curtains, you would imagine.
No, I'd say so.
I don't think it's, I'm not doom-saying, I'm not saying it's going to necessarily get that bad.
It's a very depressing stat you've just pulled out there, Lockie.
They're a long way. They're still a long way from that.
Big tick for Cam Watson from me, Lockie. Joey Monek playing as a winger.
Hopefully he can have the impact that his coach is desiring. It does make their coming month as well an especially important one. Franjic with another header to repel the danger. Jerez fought hard. Here's a chance for Monek. That's a great cross. Bakor couldn't get it on goal though. The fresh grass here at Churchill Reserve means that it sits up nicely for Josh Diven. Outside of the foot pass. The first time ball from Cholina. It's the same result as many.
Like a lot of people have spoken about, Green Gully don't have a striker and struggle to score goals. I think St Albans have the same problem, to be honest. I can't see a real goal scorer out there for them.
Well, Cholina tries his luck. The end result is the same. What a save once again from Chris Oldfield. You run out of superlatives for the NPL Victoria veteran sometimes.
Let's say be close to winning his third goalkeeper of the year award this season, Lockie.
And it comes at the near post, a flick on across the face. Diven, another block. Big shouts of a handball, wave of the arms from the referee. This is a second wind of fight and desire from St Albans. They score now, and it is game back on. Diven. Still Josh Diven. Clips it in. Carter Ramsey. And Jerez, it won't matter. A penalty for St Albans. And the pressure that had been building in the last 2 minutes materialises in the form of a spot kick. Alan Jerez could potentially have had the chance to tuck it away, but it doesn't matter. A handball spotted in the preceding cross, and Captain Michael Gergich is going to set up for a massive, massive moment in this game. A true captain's goal this one could be. Do you have an angle on the handball call, Mark?
Not really. It looked like he come off his thigh, but it must have bounced onto his hand. And the Heartbreak Kid was pretty determined in his decision there.
There was not much in the way of the hesitation, and so it rests in the shoulders of Michael Gergich. The game is back on at Churchill Reserve, and the captain is the man who stands and delivers from the penalty spot. Chris Oldfield, he's made some fantastic saves today. And that one was no fuss, no frills from the central defender. Down the guts. And Dynamo back alive again.
They've fallen asleep the last 5 minutes, the Knights. They thought it was dead and buried. But St Albans with a lifeline, 10 minutes to go in the derby game. Again, another test of their character coming up.
There was late drama last time these two sides met at Churchill Reserve. The points were shared. The opening round of the 2023 season saw Ivan Franjic score in the 86th minute to salvage a point. And Michael Gergich has pulled a goal back for St Albans Saints. The time clock reading minute 80, so 10 minutes plus stoppage to go. It is a juicy bit of time to work with. I don't know how much stoppage extra will get added onto this game. There's not been any major stoppages, but good 13, 14, 15 minutes. Certainly time enough for this game to draw level.
We won't know how much stoppage time there is, Lockie, because
there's no board.
There's no board. No referee name, no board. Bit of an undercover operation at Churchill Reserve this afternoon.
Much like what will happen in the final 15 or so minutes of this game, shrouded in mystery. Shrouded in mystery. I hope you've enjoyed it wherever you're watching from. On NPL Victoria YouTube, Melbourne Knights were 2 goals to the good. Goals either side of the half from Kieran Bramwell and Mitch Hoare. Had them sitting comfortably, but Michael Gergich's penalty set the game back alive. Monek, another deflected shot. Melbourne Knights have blocked so many efforts from the edge of the box this afternoon. They've been made to work in this second half for their lead. And it is under threat at the moment. Cholina. Monek has provided some real zip on the left-hand side. The overlap from Sovereign. The ball in for Jerez. The shot from Diven. Another block. Ramsey had a swing. Couldn't get there before the Knights' defence did. And all of a sudden, Melbourne Knights are clinging onto their lead. Ricabene asking the question. Sovereign at full stretch, committing to the cause, crossing it in, loose ball in the middle. Eventually Knights get boot to ball.
This is my concern for the Knights, Lockie, is this is when the player-coach situation can bite you on the backside a little bit. You know, 10 minutes to go, moments like this, it's so natural for Ivan Franjic to get lost in the game. It's very tense, and obviously he's just focusing on what's going on around him.
Particularly now he's shifted into centre-back where he has to do so much work.
And sometimes when you need someone on the sideline just to calm things down, make a few tactical changes, very hard for Ivan to do that. So when the game's up for grabs, and it's gotten quite tense.
They are in the throes of the St Albans Storm at the moment. And he'll have more defending to do here, the player captain coach. So we await the right-footed delivery of Alan Jerez. High ball from Jerez. It comes to nothing. It's a frustrating one for the hosts. Michael Gergich throws up a thumbs up of support, but he'd be wanting to at least get that one remaining in play with the game sitting as it is. And I wonder, now that Ivan Franjic has got a chance to relieve himself of the pressure of a lot of defending, I think he has called for a substitution.
John McBock looks like he's about to enter the fray.
I don't mind that sub at all. Maybe just refreshing the legs at striker in place of Kieran Bramwell, perhaps. It did sound as though Franjic was asking for Kieran to come off. He's got work to do as well, does Ivan Franjic, to clear for distance. Felipe Sanchez is going to come on as well as John McBock, so a double sub in the offing for Melbourne Knights. To have come off the hand of Alan Jerez. Kieran Bramwell looks absolutely cooked at the moment. It's an important win from Thomas Karlovic, who continues his run. Great turn from Saki. It was round one, but not a second, and Michael Gergich is into the book for trying to bring down Saif Saki unsuccessfully. Oh, gee, try saying that 3 times fast.
Well, lucky Ivan Franjic isn't on LinkedIn, lucky, because there'd be enough room for all the job titles that he's got at the moment. And technical director.
He's still technical director as well as his coaching, captaining and playing capacities.
Yes, he is. It's a lot of things on his plate. To be fair, hasn't hampered the way he's been playing.
No doubt of Ivan Franjic's quality. Multiple time A-League champion with Brisbane Roar. 20 cap Socceroo as well.
You forget that sometimes, you know. It's just been part and parcel of him playing in the NPL.
How good he is.
Yeah.
That professional career is now, I don't mean this with any disrespect to Ivan, it's a few years in the distance. He has been at Knights for 2 seasons now. He was at Heidelberg the year before that. It's a good 3 years since those halcyon days of the A-League, but they were very good days when Ivan was at his prime. Mitch Hoare has been ushered off the field by the referee. Kieran Bramwell is going to join him. Some 2 like-for-like changes, but some certainly much-needed fresh legs, because the game, you would imagine St Albans, Cam Watson likes to take a risk. They'll throw some numbers forward, and that will give the chance for the likes of John McBock and Felipe Sanchez to throw a thing or two towards the goals of Marco Bulic. And of course we shouldn't forget that John McBock, who is onto the field today for his 14th substitute appearance of the season, I dare say that would have to be the most in the league, scored his first NPL Victoria goal in the reverse fixture. And there could be another goal here. It's Carter Ramsey. Oh, it should have been 2-2. Carter Ramsey waltzed through the Melbourne Knights defence. Chris Oldfield was prepping himself to come up big. The Knights fans on the hill, or the Dynamo fans on the hill, I should say, were prepping themselves to celebrate an equalising goal, but it wasn't to be.
Tell you what, Lockie, that goes back to the point I was making about 10 minutes ago, that looks like St Albans really don't have a true goal scorer in their squad, because a real striker would have hit the back of the net there. That's a massive miss. The time of the game, the situation you're in, you've got to hit the back of the net there. There's no excuses.
Shown plenty of flashes of promise today, Carter Ramsey, 22-year-old. This is just his 2nd start of the year. He's only had the 1 goal.
Coming to go away.
Those are the chances that they desperately need to be taking in this game. The goal of the season came, well, that only goal of the season came against Dandenong City. He's going to get another goal against a Croatian team in a derby. just yet at least. Time is their enemy at the moment, though. It will be a valiant defeat if they go down, St Albans, but sitting bottom of the table, level on points with Moreland City in 13th place. So valiant defeats don't do you very much.
No, they don't. You need points, and you need points quickly.
In the context of what you've just said, they need a goal. They need a goal very quickly because we're in the 88th minute here at Churchill Reserve. The penultimate game of the NPL Victoria weekend. Oakley Cannons clash with Dandenong City to come tomorrow.
So the very quiet fourth official whisper the words 4 minutes off added time.
Well, there you go. So 6 minutes or so remain for St Albans to salvage something. They have done it late before against the Knights. They scored a late winner in the early rounds of the 2021 season, if memory serves me correctly.
This is the moment, Lockie.
At this end. And all but Joey Monek and Nelson Shongo are forward for James Rickabene's delivery. Could all rest in this. In it comes. Knights heads first to the ball. And that is all the invitation that Chris Oldfield needs to swallow up the ball in Victorian top flight game number 273. The game he's had today, it is not hard to see why he's close to breaching the 300 mark in this comp. Good battle between Sanchez and Tashongo. Tashongo, the man who wins out. Divin rides the challenge, wins a throw.
Excellent this afternoon, Joey Franic. Amount of shots that he's blocked. Winning the ball in the middle of the park since he's moved into there late in this second half.
Riccabene, sovereign. Monek got it in a tight space, had to bounce it back quickly to Riccabene. They elect to go long. Karlovic. A few St Albans fans on the hill ducking for cover. I think the UE boom or the boom box is okay. The tunes are still playing, so that's good. There'll be a celebratory tune to sing from those fans. With an equal... Oh, that's... How has that happened? Offside in a crucial moment with the time working against them. It's a coach killer, that sort of thing.
They are coach killers. It really does stifle any momentum that you're trying to build. I can't stand that. Lockie, it's, you know, my thoughts on short corners, pointless offsides like that are probably my second pet hate. There's no need to be offside in that situation.
Well, irrespective of whether St Albans find their equaliser in this game or Melbourne Knights put it to bed here, there's no mistaking that next week is a massive one for the hosts. An away trip to Moreland City. Saif Saki along the byline and running out of real estate. Marco Bulic can keep it going quickly. Cam Watson is urging him on. And they need to get things moving quickly where we are in the bowels of stoppage time here. But that game against Moreland City at CB Smith, 3:30 PM kickoff next week. That's a relegation 6-pointer already.
Yeah, that's a huge game for both clubs.
Let's go! TV! Let's go!
I'd say that Moreland's probably entering that game with a bit more form than St Albans.
Yeah, they did crash back to earth a little bit this week at the end of a good 3 or 4 weeks. That is trouble, though, for St Albans. Albano, here's John Mabok. And the follow-up effort is saved from Felipe Sanchez. Bulic gets them moving quickly. Launched forward by Cholina. Karlovic away. Jerez takes the throw. Cholina loses out again. Good recovery from Sovereign, and the last touch was off the Knights' boot. Oh, and Sovereign and Jerez caught in an awful mix-up. They'll get to retake the throw. 1 minute left. Now or never for St Albans Saints. This is the kind of result and goal that can save seasons, can build confidence. The ball comes in, the header comes in from Josh Diven, just lacking conviction and power, and that might be the end of St Albans' hopes of salvaging a point.
30 seconds, Scotty, last one. Get one more. Hey!
Tell you what, St Albans got South Melbourne midweek before that Moreland game. I'll just be playing the youth team against South Melbourne. I would not be focusing on that game at all. I'd have everyone ready to rock and roll for the clash against Moreland a few days later.
Felipe Sanchez took it into the corner and couldn't do enough to prevent a goal kick. So again, speed, efficiency, the order of the day here for St Albans. That was no good. A check of the watch from the referee. How many more chances will St Albans get? No more. That's it. They fought hard, but Melbourne Knights hang on to take all 3 points in a Croatian derby that held its drama right down to the last. Plenty to discuss, plenty to like about today's encounter, which saw Melbourne Knights take a fairly early lead in the first half through Kieran Bramwell, capitalising on a number of good chances, but finally capitalising on a number of wasted chances, I guess. And that left it delicately poised as we went into the second half, where St Albans really were quick out of the blocks. But fate dealt them a cruel hand, because for all their attacking chances, all their extra energy, they found themselves wanting at the back once more. Attack through Jack Morton on the right-hand side was a little bit too fast and loose from the St Albans defence. That allowed Mitch Hoare to make it too. And just as it seemed as though Melbourne Knights were going to see out the day with a fairly comfortable and composed professional 3 points, a late penalty from Michael Gergich set us up for a grandstand finish, and there wasn't a fairy tale equalising goal for Cam Watson's side, but there was certainly no shortage of entertainment to close out our Sunday NPL action. Melbourne Knights back on to the winners list. St Albans' losing streak stretches into a 10th game. Mark Ivkovic, your thoughts at the full-time whistle?
Yeah, I think Knights just too much quality in the end. Lockie, St Albans huffed and puffed, but I think not enough quality to blow the house down. And they were much better in the second half, but just that lack of quality up front it's probably been their downfall all season. And Cam Watson's got a lot of work to do to try and turn this around. I don't think could do much more in the second half. Thought he coached the game really well, got his substitutions right at the right time. But just to find a direct avenue to goal is a lot of work to do.
Well, the Croatian derbies show no signs of slowing down for Melbourne Knights. They'll be in action against Dandenong City next Friday as they return to the winner's circle for the first time in a month. St Albans will set themselves for what is a massive week in the context of this season. Action, of course, in the Cup against South Melbourne, but the far bigger looming proposition, a 6-pointer at the foot of the table against Moreland City next week. Make sure you're tuned into that game next week, because it could be a pivotal one in the relegation race. One that they remain firmly in for the moment, St Albans. They come away from this game, sadly, with nothing to show for it. The final score here at Churchill Reserve ends St Albans Saints 1, Melbourne Knights 2.